The Washtenaw County Circuit Court special session is now in order. All rise. Thank you, Margaret.
Straight across to the chairs.
You got it. The Honorable Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Megan Cavanagh, the Honorable Chief Tribal Judge, Michael Petoskey, and the Honorable Chief Trial Court Judge, Patrick Conlin, presiding.
Good evening, everyone. Please be seated.
A couple quick comments.
Sure. Just wanted to welcome everyone to the Washtenaw County Trial Court, most especially Judge Connor's family and people traveling from afar. Welcome both back to Michigan. You lost souls, come back to us. But I did want to welcome you on behalf of the trial court. Welcome to the visitors in the gallery. Welcome to the judges that are here. Thank you all for being here. Welcome to all the people in the other courtrooms who are also overflow. I was going to say just friends of Judge Connor's. So, all of them. So thank you for your attendance this evening. We are honored to have you. We are honored to host you. And we are honored to share our thoughts and our good words for Judge Connors. So with that, I am done. And some of my colleagues have a few comments as well.
Actually, Judge, before you started, if I might, I wanted to thank Judge Connor's other colleagues for also joining us today. Justice Kim Thomas from the Supreme Court, Judge Tracy Vandenberg, Judge Miriam Perry, Judge Corrine Moore, Judge Karen Velvo, Judge Hanan Hamoud, Judge Carol Kunke, Her Royal Highness Judge Princess Anna Freshour, Judge Carl Fink, and Judge Carl Barr. Thank you, Your Honors. And Chief Justice Cavanagh.
Sure. Do I need to stand?
You don't need to, but you may.
Okay.
I'll stand out of the way. How's that?
Okay.
So the video can capture.
All right, we'll do that to make sure we get here. All right, thank you. Well, welcome everyone. I'm not entirely sure where to start. I feel like I have known Tim, or at least about Tim, since I even thought, before I thought about becoming a judge myself. My dad, a dear friend of Judge Connor's, worked alongside Tim and Judge Petoskey in starting the Michigan Tribal State Federal Judicial Forum way back when. And he told me long ago that you need to get to know Judge Connors. He is a great judge and truly a one-of-a-kind leader. And of course, my dad was right, as he often is. Over the last few years, I have been honored to call Tim my friend and a mentor in building tribal and state federal partnerships. And I have been honored, truly honored, to be a part of a state judicial system that includes and celebrates a judge like you. So in November of last year, at our last Tribal Forum meeting, a meeting which Tim planned and hosted us here in this building and over at the law school, I was very pleased to be able to present Tim with a resolution from the Supreme Court. And now I know that I think Tim thought this resolution was going to be a bit weak, perhaps a performative gesture, or lacking in personalization. But he shared with me that after reading it, he realized it really wasn't an empty gesture because it recognized and honored not just his years of service on the bench and his very impressive career, but what he uniquely brought to the bench. And so here's an excerpt that I just wanted to read for all of you, where it says, whereas, because we love our whereas on resolutions, Timothy P. Connors has been recognized innumerably for his many professional accomplishments and the principles that drive them, and has set an example by promoting integrity and compassion in court, living his values hourly, reaching out to all people to bring calm, resolution, and peace, and exemplified these qualities in his manner of treating the courtroom more like a healing center with a first do no harm type of approach. So now, I've seen a lot of resolutions in my time on the court, and I've heard a lot of speeches honoring judges also in that time, but I can honestly say that never before Tim have I seen a judge recognized for living his values hourly or for bringing calm and peace to his work on the bench. But these things perfectly describe Tim and perfectly encapsulate what Tim has brought to the judiciary and to the state. So the resolution also emphasizes his passion for teaching, and I know that we have some speakers who will talk more about his really amazing contributions in that regard. But I also wanted to acknowledge what Tim has taught me. So Tim, I am grateful to you and to our tribal judges for teaching me so much about peace, peacemaking, community, and connection. In particular, I thank you for teaching me about the 7 grandfather teachings: love, respect, bravery, truth, honesty, humility, and wisdom. Each one of these lessons is an essential part of good character, and each one is dependent upon the others. And I also believe them to be principles of good judging and servant leadership. Tim, you have approached your judicial career with love and respect for the law and for the people of this state. You have bravely made the difficult decisions required of you and advocated for what was not always popular, but for what was right. You have followed your own truth, found humility and balance within yourself and within your decisions. And as everyone in this courtroom can attest, you have shared your considerable wisdom with the people that we serve. There is no doubt that our justice system has been made better because of you. Michigan's court system is more fair, more understanding, more accessible, more connected, and truly more peaceful because of your service on the bench. So it would not at all be right or appropriate for me to conclude without giving a proper nod to the Irish. So many of you, I am sure, have heard the phrase that if you're lucky enough to be Irish, then you're lucky enough. And which I love, but I think it's more apt to say, if you're lucky enough to know, love, and learn from Tim Connors, then you are lucky enough. And I am truly lucky enough. So thank you, Tim.
Chief Tribal Court Judge Michael Petoskey.
Man, what a wonderful day. And a wonderful reason to come together. And that is to acknowledge and celebrate judicial excellence. I think I could say this, and I come from a community, and I grew up in northern Michigan in the 50s and early 60s. I didn't know any attorneys, I didn't know any judges. We really didn't care for the legal system because we were always under the thumb, always the outsiders. And to celebrate judicial excellence in a person whose vision is to improve the system of justice and to move people, parties, our communities to that place we call sacred justice, where justice resides. Tim has toiled in the trenches to do that. He's also been an outstanding ally to us who work in tribal governments. I've had the privilege over the course of my career to establish 5 of the 7 tribal courts in the lower peninsula of Michigan. And Chief Justice's father, when he was the Chief Justice, Michael Cavanagh and Tim, some of us have been on this journey for a long time because fairly early on we learned we were in the same business. We had the same work that we were doing in our respective communities. And it was Michael Cavanagh who, when he first brought us together, a handful of state court judges and tribal court judges back in 1992, he looked at us tribal court judges and said, "We know we will learn more from you than you will learn from us." Then he looked at the state court judges and us tribal court judges and said, if we work together, each of us are going to be better positioned to serve our respective constituents than if we worked in isolation. What wonderful words to build a foundation for coming together and working to the realization that we're a member of the family of governments, all of us, tribal, federal, and state, and that we work together, we support each other, and we collaborate. I just think it's wonderful that we would take time out of our busy days to come here and recognize judicial excellence, to celebrate it, and to congratulate Judge Connors. You know, as each of us live our lives, we leave footprints, whether we intend to or not. The footprints that Judge Connors have left should serve to be an inspiration for all of us. And I know Tim's not done yet. He has, as you all know, a lot of passion, a lot of energy, a great imagination in terms of being creative and thinking about the possibilities and what could be done. I know he's taken some risk. He's probably been challenged on some of the things he wanted to do and some of his thoughts, but he has the strength and courage and persisted. You know, to me it's interesting how things come and go out of vogue. One of the things that's in vogue now is this thing called restorative justice. That, along with the specialty courts, peacemaking, problem-solving courts, and we could develop quite a list of courts that are now focused on specific issues and trying to make a real difference and solve problems and make life better for people. The work that Tim has done is all in that vein. You know, well done. Congratulations. Peace.
Before I introduce our next speaker, I wanted to voice gratitude. On behalf of Judge and Mrs. Connors, and on behalf of the O'Connor and Connors family, thank you to Judge Conlin and the trial court for hosting us today. And as every judge on the bench and along the wall and every lawyer in this room knows, there are people in our chambers and in our offices without whom the wheels of justice would not turn. And there are people that helped put this event together today that without them, this event could not have been a success. So I wanted to take a moment on behalf of Judge Connors to thank Judicial Attorney Kelly Roberts, Michelle Krieger in the back of the room, and Greg White and his team for their phenomenal work. Let's give them a round of applause. Our next speaker will be the 90th president of the State Bar of Michigan, the Honorable Joseph McGill, who is also the Honorable Counsel to the Republic of Ireland. And so in both of those capacities, he has remarks for us today for Judge Connors. Mr. McGill.
Good afternoon to you all. As was mentioned, my name is Joseph McGill. I'm proud to serve as the 90th President of the State Bar of Michigan and recently appointed as Ireland's Honorary Consul to the state of Michigan. It is my great honor to speak with you today as we celebrate the extraordinary career of Judge Timothy B. Connors, a jurist whose impact on the Washtenaw County bench and on the legal community is both profound and enduring. Today we celebrate a legacy, one built on decades of service, integrity, and an unwavering belief in the power and responsibility of the law. Judge Connors has served the people of Washtenaw County with distinction, wisdom, and humility, from the first day on the bench to this date of a new chapter of service to the community. He has embodied what we all hope for in a judge: a deep understanding of the law, a steady and principled hand, and a true understanding of the public he has been charged to serve. Whether presiding over complex civil matters, high-stakes criminal trials, or sensitive family law matters, Judge Connors brought not just intellect, but empathy, not just authority, but fairness. His courtroom was a place where all voices could be heard, where due process was sacred, and where justice was not just a concept, but a daily practice. Attorneys and colleagues alike speak of Judge Connors as a mentor, a model of professionalism, and a trusted presence on the bench. His leadership and collegiality have strengthened the judiciary. His thoughtful and grounded rulings have earned the respect of both sides of the bar. His impact has extended well beyond the walls of this courtroom. Judge Connors has been a true bridge builder, particularly through his extensive work with Michigan's tribal courts. His commitment to strengthening relationships between state and tribal justice systems has helped advance mutual understanding, respect for tribal sovereignty, and a more culturally appropriate justice for Native communities. That work has required more than just a knowledge of the law. It's required humility, listening, and trust. Judge Connors brought all three in abundance. His visionary work as the presiding judge of the Washtenaw County Peacemaking Court stands as one of his most enduring contributions. Drawing inspiration from various Native justice systems and their restorative practices, Judge Connors reimagined what a courtroom could be. Not just a venue for resolution, but a place for healing. In the peacemaking court, parties are invited not only to settle disputes, but to truly be heard, to understand one another, and to restore relationships often fractured by conflict. And through it all, Judge Connors brought with him a distinctly Irish pragmatism, the kind that values common sense over theatrics, that understands people are complicated, life is messy, and justice isn't always a straight line. It is a trait that has shaped his decisions and his demeanor, a steady, grounded wisdom rooted in the belief that while the law must be principled, its application must be practical. His Irish pragmatism has helped him cut through the noise and focus on what truly matters: workable and lasting solutions. This is not the kind of pragmatism that compromises principle, but one that balances idealism with the actual human consequences of his judicial decisions. It is no accident that under his guidance, courts became places where dignity was preserved, where difficult truths could be aired, and where people were treated not only lawfully, but fairly. And beyond the courtroom, many of us have also come to admire Judge Connors for his deep pride in his Irish heritage. That heritage is not just a matter of ancestry. It's a lens through which he has lived and served, one that values tradition, storytelling, resilience, and community. You can hear it in his wit, feel it in his sense of justice, and see it in the quiet, thoughtful way he carries out his duties. Judge Connors has strengthened the very foundation of our legal system. He has mentored young attorneys, served the public with integrity, worked to build bridges across jurisdictions and cultures, and shown us what it means to lead both with your head and your heart. So, as you move on to this new chapter of your life, I'd like to close with a traditional Irish blessing, one that feels especially fitting for a judge who spent his career weighing the past, present, and the future with great care. May you have the hindsight to know where you've been, the foresight to know where you're going, and the insight to know when you've gone too far. Judge Connors has always known just how far to go and no further. So on behalf of the State Bar of Michigan and the people of Ireland, thank you for your service, thank you for your legacy, and thank you for reminding us every day what justice can and should be. Slanja, and congratulations.
Of course you may. Who am I to say no to the Consul to Ireland?
Judge Connors, over the years and over the decades, has worn many hats. As I look around the room, I see many of his former and current students. I see people that he has helped through a number of issues in their legal careers, mentorship, advice, teaching from the bench. He's even married some of us. Above all, though, aside from his work on the bench, Judge Connors has been known for his mission in helping to protect families and children, and as an educator to promote legal scholarship. He's been a professor and an educator, both from the bench, but importantly at our law schools, at Wayne State University, at the University of Michigan, and even at Cooley Law School. And he has had the opportunity to partner with some of the wonderful faculty at the law schools, including Vivek Sankran, who is a clinical professor and a longtime colleague and shares the mission of Judge Connors and Mrs. Connors in promoting peace and healing for families. Without further ado, Professor.
Yep, thank you, Chad. So back in 2008, Judge Connors would come over to my house as we prepared a new class at the law school titled Family Law Litigation. My colleague Don Duquette, who's here, actually suggested that we might make a good team together. He was right, as he was about many things. And I was on paternity leave at that time, so Judge Connors would come, leave his courtroom, come over to our house and bounce my newborn son, Samir, on his knee, while we talk about teaching the law and the role of the court. And during that time, Tim sent me this email. Family judges should believe that there are no winners or losers, no real prevailing parties, just people who are suffering at some level in all the same ways that every human being suffers, regardless of where they came from. While they may be constrained by the law, they should always remember that they must be healers of controversy. They must stop the bleeding and corral the destructive forces causing chaos. Judge Connors believed that the law was a healing profession, and this really centered his work with students and faculty at the University of Michigan Law School. Family law litigation was just one of a number of classes he taught at the law school. Tim actually came to his senses a couple of years after teaching with me and upgraded and picked a new co-teacher, his wife Margaret, and quickly replaced me, which was probably his best decision he's made in his life. Tim also created the first class, I think at a law school, on peacemaking, and he poured his heart into a trial advocacy class at the law school in which he taught similar versions of the class at Wayne State and U of M, and then would create a competition here at the courthouse. And I still remember Tim calling me on the eve of these competitions, just with the excitement of a little kid before like a sporting event or something like that, and you saw that youthful energy in him. He even last year allowed my oldest son, Kieran, who's here today, to participate in the class. Even though he was a high school senior, he invited him to be a part of that class. He was always looking out for the next generation of lawyers. His teaching excellence was unmatched, as affirmed by our former dean, Mark West, who once wrote to me and Tim, and he said to Tim, "You put our regular faculty to shame." Out of 12 students, 10 responded with ratings that were nearly perfect. On overall, this was an excellent course. Your median was a 5 out of 5. On overall, the instructor was an excellent teacher. Your median fell a little bit to a 4.94. One student agreed rather than strongly agreed, preventing your perfect score. Just an element of being a human right there. Our current dean actually emailed me today and said about Tim's teaching. His teaching reflects a rare combination of practical expertise and moral imagination, challenging students to think not only like lawyers, but like problem solvers, bridge builders, and stewards of justice. But Tim's contribution to our community at the law school extended far beyond the classroom. He profoundly impacted all of our clinical students when they appeared before him in hundreds of hearings over the years. In every case, he treated our students like professionals, like they were lawyers in the courtroom, but challenged them to think deeply while modeling deep listening, dignity, and respect. He was also transformative as a juvenile court judge, dramatically reducing the number of kids in foster care in Washtenaw County, setting this county as a national leader across various measures. And through that, he got invited to speak at our statewide Reunification Day ceremony. So Tim's smiling at this story already, because there's a funny anecdote with this story. So Tim, to me, was like an uncle, right? He was like and he treated my children like they were his family. So I brought my children to this event, and like my uncles would do, he called my children up to stand next to him awkwardly while he delivered this talk about reunification. And so the newspapers were there, and they took a great picture, and it's kind of small to see, but Tim can see it, of my children awkwardly standing next to him. But the best part of this story is that the caption reads, Washtenaw County Trial Court Judge Tim Connors brought up two of the children whose family had been reunified. So not only was he a magical teacher and a judge, but he both removed my kids from my custody and reunified them in a matter of minutes. I'm not sure any judge has done that. But I have saved what I think might be Judge Connors' biggest and best contribution to the law school community for the end. In 2010, Judge Connors served as our starting center in the faculty-student basketball game. And this is what fellow team member Kyle Logue, our current dean, had to say about that time. As a member of that team, Judge Connors, quote, enforced the law that students were not allowed in the paint without paying the Connors tax. Anybody who's played basketball with Tim Connors knows exactly what that means. He did all the dirty work for our faculty team. He grabbed rebounds, blocked shots, threw an elbow here or there to keep students away. Tim did whatever the team needed to earn us a victory. But that's exactly what Tim Connors does, right? In a way, the basketball analogy captures it, that he did all the dirty work wherever he was to make sure the job got done and never wanted to seek out the credit. And so that's what, for me, makes this day as special as it is, that finally we give credit to the guy who never wanted the credit that he always deserved. Judge Connors embodies the best of our law school community, his great intellect, a greater heart, and his unwavering commitment to leaving the world better than he found it has impacted our students for so many years. So Tim, thank you on behalf of the law school for giving our community so much and just being the profound influence on all of us that you've been. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, not just for those kind words, inspiring words, but also for the wonderful education that you provided the students throughout the years and the powerful impact that you and Judge Connors have made together, along with other members of the court, on our community and on the families that you've been able to save and reunify. Thank you. And you know, as Judge Connors and the professor and some of the other judges in the courtroom do justice from the bench, they've got people on their right hand and their left hand to get them through the day. And for Judge Connors, for many years, Sherry Fire and Julie Sisson in the back of the room, who you met today, and many of you have known for years, have gotten the judge through those days and get that docket running smoothly. And in Judge's academic world, each term, he adopts one of the senior law students to be an unofficial teaching aide. And that student is always someone who identifies as a leader. And his assessment has been invariably 100% correct, a 5 out of 5. And so we're going to hear from 3 of those current teaching aides right now. Olivia Gingold, Cheyenne Scott, and Andrew Druart. Where are you? Come on down. Right to the podium. And so essentially we've got a nice combination of Judge Connor's trial advocacy class at Michigan, his peacekeeping course at Wayne, and his trial advocacy course at Wayne State, correct? Both. And peacekeeping. Amazing. Olivia, did you want to get started?
Yeah, I'll kick us off. I feel humbled, first of all, to be, and I'm going to be really emotional because that's just how I am and I embrace it. But I feel really humbled to be speaking here today at all because I have not known Judge Connors nearly as long as most of the people who are here today, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't impacted me in a very profound way. And we as humans crave uniqueness sometimes. We want to be different, and this is one circumstance where I know that I'm not unique, and it is the most beautiful thing to not be unique because I know that I am not the only Michigan student and student in general from law students who has been touched by Judge Connors and the work that he's doing on our campus community. The second week of school, we were feeling a little disoriented because we had moved off of the syllabus, and I took it upon myself to send Judge Connors an email just conveying the atmosphere that the students were communicating to each other, and I was so terrified to send this email. I was emailing a judge and a professor, someone who I saw as so senior, as so superior to me, as almost untouchable, which Michigan professors don't give that impression, but you still can't help but feel that way. And I typed the email like probably 6 times before I actually sent it. I made sure my punctuation was perfect. And when I sent it to Judge Connors, I waited anxiously for this reply, and the reply that came back was so open and warm and inviting and celebrating me for coming forward and sharing what the class was feeling, even if it wasn't all that positive. And that has been my experience with Judge Connors from the start to the end. Is he's open to hearing from his students, he's seeking feedback. We had a Friday morning class, and he asked if Friday mornings would be good to move away from in semesters moving forward so that he could reach a broader group of students, because law students don't love Friday morning classes. And that's Judge Connors, someone who's open and curious and always looking to learn how to do better. And I was stunned because I reached out to the Michigan community when I found out Judge Connors was giving this award, or getting this award, to see if any other students wanted to sign something for him. And the responses I received back were also just so impressive, and are the way that I know that my experience is not unique. And I'll end by saying that it's easy to lose sight of why you go to law school, and it's really beautiful to remember why you came to law school after losing sight of it. So I just want to thank Judge Connors for being there to be such a valuable mentor and such an admirable symbol of what we should all aspire to be as attorneys, which is healers of controversy, and not just the winners or the losers or the money makers or whatever it is, because at the end of the day, the law is managing people, and you don't have people management without the emotion that comes with it. So thank you for being a really fundamental component of my law school experience, and thank you on behalf of all the other Michigan law students who I know feel the exact same way.
So I echo everything that Olivia just said, but I want to share a story from my time in his peacemaking class that just finished yesterday. But a couple of weeks ago, my classmates and I presented our final papers for Judge Connors' peacemaking class at the University of Michigan. Unfortunately, Judge Connors wasn't able to be there in person, but he could listen to our speeches and everything that we had learned throughout this class, and learn how his teaching has shaped us over the course of the semester. At the conclusion of the class, Professor Connors announced if anyone would like to stay, that she would give us an update on how the judge was doing. Professor Connors gathered herself for a moment and put her things away, and when she looked up, not a single one of my classmates, nor I, had left the class or moved a single inch. Everyone remained and awaited anxiously a word on an update from Judge Connors. Not one of us has felt that the class has been normal since his absence. He's more than just a professor. For me, he's been a mentor, and for my classmates, he's someone who goes out of the way to make sure that everyone is doing well during a very difficult and busy time in our lives. He goes above and beyond to ensure his students have an inclusive learning environment, that they're elevated to use their voice, and they succeed to their highest potential. Judge Connors once took me aside after a class and, like always, was encouraging me and telling me what wonderful work I was going to do at the Native American Rights Fund this summer. And of course, that he wanted me to connect with the dozens of friends that he has there, because knowing Judge Connors, he has friends everywhere. He was hyping me up, and I nodded back, giving a sly smile. He always tells me these things, as he does to every single one of his students. Andrew, stop laughing. I'm being deadly serious. You have it. You've shown it. You have serious potential and passion. You're going to go make it in this world, and you're going to make a difference. I see it in you. It's moments like these that show how deeply he cares about every single one of his students. It highlights that this is more than just work for him. It is a passion and something he excels at. I hope Judge Connors knows he can take immense pride and credit for setting an excellent example to his community, his peers, and his students, for showing us all how to be better advocates, for considering new perspectives, to build relations with one another, to listen and to understand. He sets a shining example of how we can all strive to be better students, educators, lawyers, and most importantly, people. Thank you, Judge Connors.
It's amazing how even when you go to two different law schools, you can have pretty much the same exact experience if you have the same professor, because he cares so much about who he is. Olivia was talking about how she got in touch with Judge Connors because she sent a stress-giving email about him, or to him, about how the class was feeling. Judge's first impression of me was after he did his intense jury voir dire in trial advocacy class, he then began talking about the assignment, and I asked a million follow-up questions. So he looked at me immediately and was like, "You're going to be the one asking questions," and that continued to be me all semester, constantly raising my hand. So he knew my name very quickly. I was fortunate enough to take both of Judge Connors' classes at Wayne State. And so I started with trial advocacy and learned what it meant to be a part of the adversary system. And up until this last winter, that's all I really knew, what it meant to be a lawyer. And I am very happy to know now that there are other types of justice that can be achieved in other ways that we can get to it. And had Judge Connors not brought the peacemaking class to Wayne State, I would not have that ability to know. I would be in the dark. And that is unfortunately something that most people don't get to experience when they go to law school. So it is amazing that we have this, that we had you teaching this, and I hope that only I can continue to embed those values that you taught us and bring it on to the next generation of lawyers. I wrote notes. Additionally, Judge Connors, you've been one of the most supportive people that I have ever met in my law school career. Everybody who has been to law school knows what it means to have imposter syndrome. A lot of people who go to law school think that they're probably one of the best in the class. I had a 3.96 GPA at Grand Valley, and then I came to law school and got my first B, and I cried. And I didn't think I belonged. And it took me until my last year at law school and meeting Judge Connors to have somebody consistently telling me that I was going to make it, to make me feel like I actually belonged. If I didn't have you, I'd probably still have that doubt. So thank you for instilling that confidence in me and making me believe that when I take the bar in a few months that I actually have chances of passing and that I can be a good lawyer. I think so many other students share the same sentiment, and it wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So thank you.
Before you go, would the three of you mind? The student body of the University of Michigan has purchased a plaque for Judge Connors, and I'll read it before the three law students present it to him. It says, "On behalf of the past and present Michigan Law School students, to the Honorable Timothy Connors, in gratitude and recognition for your decades of leadership and dedicated service to legal mentorship and education." So, did you want to, and then Jackson can take a quick picture as well. Yeah, just a photo shot as well. Yep. Try to think out there. Good job. Thank you. This was an affair that was put together in a rather rapid fashion under the circumstances. Two of Judge Connor's longtime friends and colleague, the Honorable Darlene O'Brien, were not able to attend today. They had other obligations which they were intent on canceling to be here, but Judge Connors insisted that they did not. These were important plans that had been in place for a long time, and Judge Connors said he would have felt terrible if they would have canceled those plans. So a compromise was reached. Because he is the peacemaker. He reached a compromise. And it was actually a judicial attorney, Teresa Conlin, that sparked the idea. And that was the Honorable Darlene O'Brien and Tom O'Brien had written a tribute to Judge Connors, and Teresa was going to read that for them and share her own remarks. Teresa, Colleen.
Tim, it is fitting that so many people are celebrating you today. It is a testament to all the good you have done and continue to do in so many ways. You are a man of vision and dreams, and most importantly, you have made your dreams become reality. In the face of termination of parental rights, you created Reunification Day, giving hope to parents and creating a path for families to restore their relationships. Now Reunification Day is celebrated statewide. You enlisted those who struggled through their own abuse and neglect cases to mentor parents newly facing loss of parental rights. You not only dreamed of people making peace, but you also worked tirelessly to make peacemaking a reality. You spent countless hours teaching so many across the country and overseas that there is a better way and that there is hope. You have carried the promise of a better future and brought joy along the way. In the courthouse, you, your dog, and sometimes your off-the-wall emails all helped brighten our days. For all that you are and all that you have done, we thank you and honor you, sending you caring thoughts and wishing you the strength of Brian Baru, Shiahana, Darlene and Tom O'Brien.
One of the legacies that Judge Connors leaves is his accolades from the local bar. And in a way, this award, the next award, comes full circle, because it was about 12 years ago today, 13 years, 2012, that I watched as Ben Muth, now the president of the Washtenaw Association of Justice, was sworn into the bar by Judge Connors. And he was there with his father, a legendary local attorney, and now gentleman farmer, Andy Muth. And certainly Denny McLean was in the back of the courtroom. And the president at the time of the Association for Justice, John Verdell. And I'll now ask them, the three of them, to come up to the podium to give the next award.
Tim, you've been my judge my entire life. And as we've heard from all these speakers, you have never shied away from a tough issue or a tough case, and you've dealt with it with compassion and truth and honesty. But today I want to tell everybody here a story of one of your not so well-known cases that you once presided over. And it was the case of the big bad wolf against the three little pigs. The three little pigs sued the big bad wolf, and my dad, Andy Muth, gentleman farmer, which I love that term, by the way, because I'm not sure if he's either. But I'm just kidding. I love you. I was in middle school, and Andy graciously put on a mock trial of the three little pigs versus the big bad wolf. And he created two teams, a plaintiff's team and a defense team, that mock trial was in this courtroom, and you were presiding on that bench. And I remember I was put on the Big Bad Wolf defense team, which I was a little salty about at the time because I knew Andy was a plaintiff lawyer. Well, Andy put on an amazing script. He had wonderful presentations for everybody, and there was even a pig expert. And as the pig expert was testifying, he said the 3 little pigs ran up the tree, and in my tiny little rage, I stood up in the courtroom and I said, "Objection, pigs can't climb trees." And you and Andy started laughing, and Andy patted me on the head, and my objection was overruled, but you can't unring a bell. And the jury heard it and delivered a no cause of action on behalf of the Big Bad Wolf. And it was that moment that I realized my dream of becoming an insurance defense attorney. Tim, you've been a presence in Washtenaw County for 34 years. You've presided on the bench with compassion and truth and kindness on behalf of all the attorneys and litigants who've come in and out of your courtroom, who have always known whether we won or lost, we were heard, we were listened to, and we got a fair shake. So on behalf of the Washtenaw Association of Justice, I'm happy to present you the Lifetime Achievement Award for 34 years of serving our community.
Better than your dad.
Speaking of gentlemen farmers,
Yes.
the senior Mr. Muth, do you have some words to say today?
I do. Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about Tim. And I'm going to talk very little about him as a judge and a little more about my friend Tim. And in going over these stories, I kind of wondered, and I thought, I need someone highly evolved in priority and decorum to run these ideas by to see if they're appropriate. So I called John Burdell. John thought they were fine, but thought we should get an adult opinion. So he put the phone down and he said, "Lynn, Andy's on the phone. He's going to tell the story. What do you think?" He says, "Well, don't tell anybody I gave him permission, but I think that's okay." So when I first met Tim, he'd just come over to Ypsilanti. He'd been working in the Alan Philbrick's defense firm, and certainly in that time was known as a pretty buttoned-up place. White shirts, ties tightly knitted, shoes shined, and he came over to this plaintiff's practice. I didn't know him. And I was in his office 1 floor down from mine in the Ypsilanti Bank building, and I noticed a book. It was a beautiful green leather binding with gold lettering, and the title of it was The Complete Compendium Irish Erotic Literature. And I said, "Oh, that's interesting, Tim." And Tim, he scrunches out. He says, "Oh, yeah, Andy, it's really good. Take a look at it." So I opened it up. Every page was blank. So I said, obviously, this is a guy with a sense of humor, and I prize a sense of humor as a high character trait. So I'm going to tell you a story now about some years later we went on a fishing trip. It was Tim, his dad, his cousin Bob, who was a physician in Grand Rapids, and me, and Bob, and there were 5, 10 to 12-year-old boys. And we flew into a lake in Canada. The float plane dropped us off. We unloaded all our gear on this dock and what passed for a cabin. And that night over the fire, Tim made a pronouncement to the boys. He said, "I'm going to talk to you about the rules and the traditions of fishing." He says, "All right, now listen up. We're up here in Canada. There's no girls around. Your mother's not here. There's no one to watch you. The only rules are there are no rules. If you want to swear and cuss, you can do it all you want." So all these boys' eyes just lit up. This was going to be really cool. So then Tim said, "Well, one of the other traditions that my Uncle Seamus told me about, a good Irishman, in the fishing camp, they had a farting contest." Now the boys were really interested. We're getting to the heart of them. And they said, "What is that?" He says, "Well, Uncle Seamus told me you get a pole, you bury it in the ground, and you have a contest of who can make the loudest fart. and you go up there and you grab a hold of the pole and you sort of bend over and you really get after it, and whoever makes the loudest fart wins, except my Uncle Seamus was disqualified. And they said, why is that? He says, well, Seamus was there, he was trying really hard, and he pooped his pants. So now we've got the full three for these kids: poop, farts, and swearing. So for the next 24 hours or so, it was like these were feral children. They'd never been raised. They were all struggling to include as many cuss words in a sentence as they could. And then it kind of died down. And I talked to my son Matt, who's now 43 years old, and I asked him, do you remember? He says, oh yeah, I do. I said, what did you take of that? He said, well, Tim gave us the right to be whatever we want. And after about 24 hours, we figured out that we wanted to be is pretty much who we were. And I think this ties in a little bit after this to his judging. So one of Tim's jobs on this trip was to assign boats. So there were 4 adults, 4 boats, and the kids. And he'd put one kid and one adult. And every day, Tim made sure that he had one of the other kids for 2 or 3 hours in a boat. And he taught them how to fish, how to drop a lead line on the ground and in the bottom of the lake and bounce it up. How can you tell when you get a fish? How to reel it in. And he also talked to them like real humans. They weren't children. Maybe they weren't adults, but they were real people. What do you like to do? Where are you in school? Do you have friends? Isn't this a great place? What do you think about fishing? And each of the kids came back after 2 or 3 hours, and they were convinced that they'd made a new lifelong friend who really cared about them. And this is a gift, Tim, that you had. So, this is where it comes back, I think, to a little bit about judging. Tim's activities as a judge have not been activities that he learned. They're extensions of him. It's who he is. And this is an opportunity for him to do it. When people come into the courtroom, they're often good people going through bad times. Maybe they've done bad acts. Maybe they're in a bad situation. But Tim treated them all with respect and dignity. He talked to them nicely, he put them at ease, and he tried to get them to a resolution which was good for everybody. And that was the gift. So, helping good people return after 24 hours to being good people again was what he was doing. And he's always been doing that. So I'll tell you one more story. Tim loves basketball, and he's highly competitive. Most people think there are 3 positions on the basketball floor. There's center, forwards, and guards. Tim has one, it's middle linebacker. And Tim is he's a hard guy. He's a hard guy to move, and if he wants to move you, it's like you're on roller skates. So at one point, we played a lot of basketball, and there was a tournament in Bel Air, which is a little town east of Traverse City. And they had a tournament in February, and the shtick was no one could be over 6 feet tall. So we went up there, and some other lawyers who were in the court were with us, and we played. And we weren't great, but we were having fun. So we had a Saturday afternoon game. And the team we were playing was a team of masons from Bel Air. And these guys were hard boys. They were used to carrying bricks, mortar, cement blocks, and they'd gone to the Bel Air bar for lunch. So the game was a little bit rough. And the way we didn't have a coach, so we paired up, and my pair was Tim. And when I got tired, I'd say, Tim, you come in, and he'd do the same thing. So I came out at the end of the first half, and there was a big scrum. The guys were on the floor, wrestling around. The referees sorted us all out, separated us, and Tim came off the floor. So the second half started. I said, Tim, you got to go back in. He goes, I can't. What do you mean you can't? I'm tired. I can't go back in. Why not? I got kicked out. Really? Why'd you get kicked out? They think I hit somebody in that scrum. I say, well, did you? And he's got this sort of sneer on it. I might have. Could have happened. So here was the ultimate example of my friend Tim, who's a great guy, acting badly. Didn't make him a bad person. After the game, the boys from Bel Air were fine. We all shook hands and went on our way. So Tim, I hope I'm just one of the many friends, and I hope you have a great time going forward. You got a tough battle. Go for it.
Well, in case anyone was hoping that our next speaker would be a little less colorful, I'm sorry, it's John Verdell.
Well, on that segue, I read that, Chad has said 3 minutes. I keep looking at that door looking for Don Nutt.
Oh, yeah.
Some of you will remember Don Nutt. Yeah. You'd be in your thing, Don would stand up, 1 minute! Okay, so anyway, Don Nutt's not here, but I'll try to stick with the time limits. So I've known Tim for about 40 years, and I think I'm the only lawyer who has tried a case against him, co-counsel with him, and tried many cases in front of him. And all week long, my wife was saying, and for those who don't know me, I practiced law with my wife for 30 years, who's in the courtroom. All week long, she kept saying, what are you going to say? And I kept thinking, why does she care what I'm going to say? And then I figured out today, because she wanted to edit me. and so I had all these great remarks, like 4 pages, and my wife, hey, can I type it for you? And then, nope. So anyway, so these 8 pages are down to 1. So anyway, so it's cleaned up a little bit, and thank God Shakespeare was single, because his work would have been far less colorful had he had an editor. But anyway, but with that, I have one remark that didn't make the cut. Lynn, in fact, eliminated it 4 days ago, but I'm going to tell it anyway. So I'm in front of Tim several years ago, and I fend off a motion for summary disposition, and all this crowded courtroom, and Tim says to me, Mr. Verdell, tell your wife she wrote a really good brief. And I said, kind of indignantly, I was on the law review in law school, I could actually write, and I was a little offended by this. And I said, well, Judge, I wrote every word of that myself. He looks around and he goes, who here believes that? Okay, no hands raised. Next case. Anyway, so he's had a wonderful sense of humor. So, like Andy, I've known Tim for a long time. After I tried that case against him as an insurance defense lawyer, I had such a fun time trying the case against him that I wrote a letter after the verdict came in, and I asked for a job at the firm, and they hired me in that same bank building Randy Muth was. And we were partners eventually, it was Logan Connors and Burdell, and we got to be partners for too short of a time. And so, but I've known a friendship with him more than I've been in front of him as a judge. And we've traveled the world together. He married my youngest son. He swore in my oldest son. And one of my fondest memories is sitting over the Lily River on New Year's Eve with Margaret and my wife and watching the fireworks on New Year's Eve, and it was just wonderful. And we've had lots of times, and we're going to have many more in the future. And he's had a profound impact on my life and my career, because I think I wouldn't have been a plaintiff's lawyer if I hadn't joined his firm. The one case that we co-counseled together in front of Pat Conlin's father, and the law students have heard this story because I think it humanizes the practice of law. So we're trying a case, 5 o'clock comes along, and I'm thinking, oh good, I'm tired, I'm going to go home, and Pat's father says, well, gentlemen, we'll take a lunch break, and we'll come back for evening session. What the? And meanwhile, Tim's teasing me because I'm drinking NyQuil out of a bottle. The jurors think I'm an alcoholic, because I've got a little bottle of NyQuil, I'm drinking NyQuil. So I watched him. To my horror, he's up on the bench, and he grabs a pamphlet off the judge's bench. And a pamphlet for the young people, that's a little booklet that's not iPad. It's paper, you can write on it. Anyway, it's tactile. And to my horror, like, first of all, I can't believe Tim's like desecrating the bench. And he takes the thing off, and I'm thinking Judge Conlin is paying attention, rapt interest. And the pamphlet is How to Raise Pheasants for Breeding. And Tim picks this up, and he starts writing on it. He defaces it. How to raise pheasants for frying. Every page. Prepare the nest. Crosses off nest. Prepare the frying pan. Put down straw. Make sure you put down a bedding of grease. The whole thing. So anyway, so come back on. I'm at the lectern. Tim's in the witness box. He's reading the doctor's part of the deposition. Judge Conlin comes out. Looks at me, and I just go, The jury's there, I just kind of point to Tim, and he so he's staring at Tim. Tim's just laughing away. Yeah, he suffered a trimolar fracture, just read the whole thing. And I go, oh my God, I can't. But I tell that story when Tim's let me teach his law students because it just humanizes the practice of law. We have to, it's hard work we do, and it's good to have a sense of humor, and Tim has always demonstrated that. After we were partners, John Engelhardt made one of the monumental miscalculations of a career and pointed Tim to the 15th District Bench thinking he was going to get a judge in the mold of Anthony Scalia, and what he got was Earl Warren and William Douglas. And one of the great shocks, and it's probably when he read about some of the cases, he said, son of a bitch. Anyway, so I've heard to many of my defense friends that they've sort of accused Judge Connors of being a plaintiff's judge. And for other judges in the courtroom who consider themselves, maybe call themselves plaintiff judge, Tim just believes in the rule of law. He trusted juries and he allowed them, and he didn't overrule with his own ego. And he could find a way to let a jury decide, he would. As I got to know Tim, I learned I appreciated his Irish heritage. He helped me appreciate mine. My grandfather was born in Ireland. And Irish people have always been lifelong underdogs, always been oppressed, always had to fight off oppressors, which I think why Judge Petoskey and Tim get along so well, because they have communities that have been oppressed. And Tim always brought that spirit to the bench and always allowed the underdog a fair fight. And Tim, you've done that your whole career. You've always been on the side of the underdog, and no case says it better than when you oversaw the prison case that many judges could have dismissed, many would have, and you stood that fight, and for 15 years, 10 years or so, you up and down the Court of Appeals, back and forth, and you gave those women prisoners their voice. And you let a jury decide. You didn't substitute your judgment for theirs, and no lesson is more poignant today than you never liked the bully. And judges today around the country are learning a good judge has to stand up to a bully. And your Irish heritage has taught you that. You put your foot in the ground, and you made your mark, and you stood up to bullies your whole career. And I'm proud of you for it. You made the hard calls, and for some of you who are hearing about our personal life, thinking, that son of a bitch, no wonder I never won a case with Brian. But Tim dismissed me on occasion, so he followed the law. Three idiots on the Court of Appeals agreed with him, so so I didn't take it personally. But the point is, you did your job. You didn't curry favor. You knew it was right and wrong, and you stuck to your guns, and I'm proud of you for it. And more importantly, as we become friends, Tim would taught me a thing or two, and he would tell me he loved me, which kind of unsettled me. It's like, what? And so, Tim, I love you, and thank you for being my friend. And you've been a giant on this. Oh, and as one remark here that my wife let me say. At the end of my career, this was a Garden of Eden, a place to practice law. Our bench here, I would put it up against any bench in the state. We had judges who were competent, allowed you to try your case, and were good at it. There's nothing more frustrating than being a lawyer, a trial lawyer, all this work, all this time, all this expense, clients depend on you, and a judge who's hostile to justice, rude, inconsiderate. And in Washtenaw County, we always got a fair trial. And as my career progressed, I realized that lawyers from around the state would file here because of our judiciary, our bench. And Tim, you were a leader, you were a giant among giants on this bench, and we had we still had, and when I practiced, our bench I hold it up second to none. And you were one of the reasons why, one of the big reasons why. And I was proud to be your partner, I'm proud to be your friend, and I love practicing in front of you, and I look forward to many adventures going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And there's no question that in Washtenaw County we have a tight-knit, close bar and bench, and that legacy of excellence that has lived in this courthouse, in this courtroom for so long, certainly live on in Judge Connors' colleagues that are here today and the rest of the bench here in Washtenaw County. We've heard from some fantastic trial lawyers, and our next speaker is actually a master juggler. Yes, that's true, because she juggles being an incredible wife and mother, a community leader, oh yes, and a fantastic lawyer, and the president of the Washtenaw County Bar Association, Kate Sharkey.
I'll take that since I wasn't called Your Royal Highness. Judge Connors, what an honor it is for me to be here on behalf of the Washtenaw County Bar Association and its almost 600 members. Judge Connors, we thank you for your years of service to our bar. Your friendship to Keena Slater over the years has meant so much to her. And on behalf of her, she wants me to thank you for supporting our mission. I'm just going to talk for 2 minutes. Don't worry, I won't go on. Judge Connors, thank you for mentoring the thousands of lawyers that you have mentored, both as a professor and as a judge and as a colleague. You have been a fervent and unapologetic advocate for the children over whom you've had jurisdiction. Early on, I learned that in the peacekeeping circles, you had parents bring pictures of their children as a reminder of why we were there. And I'm a litigator. I like to try cases. I like to go in front of a judge. I like to win. But that vision has always been in my mind when I'm counseling clients, when I'm in front of judges, when I'm in a mediation. Why are we there? Why are we there? Because what Vivek said, there are no winners or losers in family law, and you had that at the forefront of your judicial temperament. I stole that and I bring it to my cases, so thank you for letting me steal that. For many years, I practiced in front of you, and one time I made the mistake of making a joke. It wasn't an offensive joke, and it wasn't even it was just a bad joke. It wasn't funny. And let me tell you, I never heard the end of it. Every time I got up, it didn't matter what I was there for. I could have been there for a pro-con. You'd say, all right, Miss Sharkey, what do you got for me today? How are you going to make me laugh? Thank you for taking your job so seriously, but also reminding us not to take ourselves so seriously. On behalf of the Washtenaw County Bar Association, thank you for your service.
Okay. Thank you, President Sharkey. Master Juggler. We've heard many stories, and everyone in this room knows the truth, that Judge Connors is committed to the rule of law, to the right to jury trial, and to promoting scholarship. And there's an organization within our state bar that mirrors those ethics, that mirrors those values, that holds them in the highest esteem. And that's the State Bar of Michigan Negligence Law Section, which has frequently sought out Judge Connors over the years as a continuing legal education speaker. And just this last year, Judge Connors was kind and generous enough to swear 200 of us back into the bar and renew our oaths as lawyers. And talk to us about the importance of the lawyer's oath. We have 3 leaders in our bar: the chairperson of the State Bar of Michigan Negligence Law Section, Donna McKenzie, John Whitman from the Leadership Council, and Mr. Robert Riley, the past chairperson and also the past president of the American Board of Trial Advocates. Donna and Bob and John, can you come on up here?
questions up to bat?
Mr. Whitman.
Your Honor. Your Honor, thank you. You gave me a lot to think about over the years. You taught me a number of lessons, not the least of which was when to shut up. So I appreciate that. I'm still working on that one. I've been in a lot of courtrooms, and I never felt like a stranger in yours. I felt like I was in the house of a friend who was mildly irritated with me, but who didn't always agree with me, but always a friend. A friend who could disagree with me, and sometimes sharply, but soundly and honestly, and I appreciate that. It's been my honor. My favorite memory of you was sitting in your jury room and learning the difference between Bushmills and Jameson, for which I will be grateful. Thank you.
I have two different speeches to make, so bear with me. The first is to recognize you via this plaque that is here today on behalf of the negligence law section, reflecting upon your years and years and years of commitment to the very best in the judiciary. Your commitment to the values that we most need to have enforced come from you and were reflected constantly during your tenure. The negligence section does not issue just awards for the heck of it. They're debated, they're talked about, they're looked at carefully, and the unanimous decision to recognize you reflects the level of excellence that you have demonstrated. Our chair and President Donna McKenzie is going to present you with this plaque from the negligence law section. Donna?
I'll just read the language on this award to you, Judge. This award is being given in recognition of your legacy of judicial excellence and unwavering protection of the rule of law and the constitutional right to jury trial, advancement of professionalism and civility in the legal profession, decades of dedicated public service as a trial court judge, and promotion of legal education and scholarship among law students, bench and bar. The State Bar of Michigan Negligence Law Section hereby confers this Lifetime Judicial Legacy of Excellence Award to you, Judge Connors.
Are we supposed to smile?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, Donna has been a remarkable chairperson, and she follows in some gigantic footsteps as a leader of the section, not just Bob Riley's, but also Chief Justice Megan Cavanagh, who was a leader and counsel officer for many years. Thank you. Mr. Riley was going to continue. Part two.
I recognize that I am supposed to behave.
Counselor, you got to stand at the podium so it can be recorded, though. Sorry.
And I never stood at the podium.
Well, you would never have been recorded in this courtroom. Put them all on appeal.
And by the time I'm done, that may be a good thing. Everything I wanted to say has likely been covered by the excellent speakers today, but in my preparation, there's certain concerns that needed attention. it became obvious to some individuals that they thought you talked too much. I suggested that this is you, this is who you are, and the response was, he still talks too much. Another individual, in talking with me in my efforts to have significant things to say, pointed out that you seem to only talk about one country, and that the world is full of very important and worthwhile countries that deserve discussion. I said, well, that's just him, and that's what he's passionate about. And I was told, you talk too much about Ireland. I was talking to an individual, and several individuals came to that discussion, and someone said, great guy, truly wonderful. But he has ruled against me far too much. And others said, damn right. We just heard it minutes ago. However, on a more serious note, someone asked me, Bob, are you going to talk about Margaret? And I said, damn right. Margaret, you're an exceptional spouse. You are blessed and perhaps sometimes cursed by the marriage that you entered into, but you are a remarkable person and an exciting, vigorous individual, and coming to know you has been wonderful, and I'm certainly grateful for it, and I know Tim is as well. He speaks incredibly highly of you, and it's remarkable after all these years what the two of you have accomplished. And I think this group is entitled to know that you're a key component of this wonderful corporation that the two of you have put together. I also want to say something. And I'll close my remark with a personal comment, Tim. By the way, I feel very comfortable calling you Tim and not Your Honor. I appreciate it when you call me Bob rather than Mr. Riley, too. Walking together with you and spending time talking about life, issues, concerns, tomorrow, the next day, etc., has been a gem in my life. Thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for assembling with all of us this afternoon and this evening to recognize you, to celebrate you, and to say thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Judge Connors was very gracious in allowing the bench and the bar to help organize this event, but he was insistent on one thing, that when we're here in this temple of justice, that we're all here not for ourselves, but rather for the community and the public that we have all sworn to serve. And he wanted that voice to be heard as well. And he'd asked that a litigant who had been before the court, who had sought justice, who had sought redress and healing from in resolution of the controversy, be allowed to speak. And Tess, would you please come up here? Tess Kurowski.
Hello and good evening. I am truly humbled and honored to be here with a different perspective. I first met Judge Connors in 2007 when I was a litigant in the courtroom. I did not want to be here. I was broken, scared, distrustful, and felt silenced for the previous 4 years.
I didn't expect much to happen in my favor, but as a nurse and patient advocate, I needed to tell my story. Mostly, I hoped for a fair judge. Judge Connors was that and so much more. He exuded authority and commanded respect throughout his courtroom, not just for the law and process, but for both litigants and the information we presented. The fairness I felt and witnessed for both sides helped me feel safe, no matter what the outcome. And when things got tough, his default to kindness is something I'll never forget. People start to heal the moment they feel heard, is a quote by author Cheryl Richardson. This rings true for me because of Judge Connors. A few years later, our paths crossed again. This time, we became friends. What a gift it is to be a friend of Timothy Connors and to witness what a great man of depth, heart, and character he is on and off the bench. And the cherry on top, he is delightfully fun and funny. Your Honor, it is no surprise that you have protected, cultivated, and enriched an entire community of people from around the world and all walks of life that are standing with you and honoring you today and onward without hesitation. Your impact is truly immeasurable and will be felt for generations to come. With all my heart, thank you.
Your Honor, may it please the court,
It may.
the Honorable
Please.
Timothy P. Connors.
Please. The witness may speak.
Wow. Let me start with saying 34 years ago, I stood in this spot and was sworn in with the great honor to try to be one of your judges. And I remember saying to everybody, you know, I'll just be the best one I can be for you. And everybody was so full of hope, and there was all this joyousness, and I can remember it like it was just yesterday. And when it was done, I said, Timmy, you better remember this moment because it'll never get better than this. And once you start ruling against people, they'll find a way, you know, say you talk too much or something. Or only about one country. But I was wrong. I was really wrong. As I listened to everybody here, and all of you talking about, all of you giving me credit. It's not me. It's you. It's in each of us. I have learned from all of you. Every single interaction I have had, you've taught me. And it's that interrelationship of sharing and trying to understand and learning from each other that made all the difference. When I was sworn in, I was that guy up there on the wall. And I'm up there. Bob, I'm going to talk about the Irish. I was up there because Judge Conlin, his father and his grandfather were judges up there, and he came to me before I left and he said, you're going up there with the Conlins. And it's because of that I'm there. So thank you.
Welcome aboard.
I'm going to talk about something here to bring you up to date on my condition and what that has meant to us. But I want to tell you what an honor it has been and how privileged I have been to be part of this community. Before that, because we don't want to get too heavy, my grandson Ethan has said he wants to show you how to dance an Irish jig. would you mind, Ethan, coming and showing everybody? Show them how to do it, Ethan. Just get right into it. So, with that segue, you know, many of you were kind enough to come when I left and help me into the next chapter. And the excitement that I had for that, and I still have for that next chapter, but how life is, you know, it takes strange turns. And on March 22nd, because I'm going to just flat tell you, my wife saved my life. I've been having these difficulties with my stomach and my lower back. I was trying to lose weight. I'm eating a high-fiber diet. I'm doing everything. And my wife said, I think you're overdoing it. You know, you're trying to lift too much. I'm like, what, me? What? You know? And so she, on Valentine's Day, she said, would you just go to urgent care, please? I said, what are they going to do at urgent care? I'm going to sit around there forever, and they're just going to tell me that, you know, you're getting old. I know I'm getting old. That's why I'm trying to do something about it. But she said, I'll get you an appointment in the morning. Please get over to urgent care. And they ran a test on me, ran a stomach x-ray. They said, yeah, you got some L2 low back things. You know, you're a little backed up. We don't see any blockage. You run all your cancer tests. You know, we don't have any concern there. So see your doctor in the morning. I see the doctor in the morning at 8 o'clock. Doctor says, yeah, you're backed up. You got to eat more fiber. I said, geez, I thought I'm eating a lot of beans, but okay. And why don't you go home, cleanse yourself again, spend a couple of days, and then, you know, drink more water. So I did. And then it got worse. And we had St. Patrick's Day. I was with the good Dr. Bashur for St. Patrick's Day, the father of telemedicine. And we finished up that, and I was just really feeling bad. And he kept looking at me, says, you're losing weight. I hope you're okay. And I'm not kidding. That week I was teaching, and I was feeling like, literally, I'd be walking along, I felt like I was getting stabbed right in the stomach. I mean, I could hardly move. And so I came back, and Margaret said, it's back. Would you go to urgent care? I said, I'm not going to urgent care to be told I'm getting too old. I said, they're going to tell me to cleanse myself again. I'll take the milk of magnesia. I'll wait a couple of days. If it's still hurting, you can make the appointment. I'll go into the doctor on Monday or Tuesday. And she called, and she got me in at 8 o'clock. And she said, if you're not going to urgent care, do you promise me you'll go to the doctor if you're not feeling better? And she was crying. I'm not going to, you know, what am I going to do? So I said, okay, yes, okay. I went over, urgent care, not urgent care, to my doctor. They took a look at my stomach, said, we got to get you got to get in right now. And they called, and U of M was backed up at the emergency room. Chelsea was not. And they said, are you okay with Chelsea? We said, yes. We went in. I want to say this. Judge Conlin was on that board. I think, I need to tell you, I come from a family of healers and artists. My father was the CEO at the University of Michigan Hospital when I was in high school, and he went on and created the Sisters of Mercy Health Corporation. Healing was in my family. My cousin Bob over here, Bob Connors, was the head of the Betsy DeVos Children's Hospital. And so from my father and my cousin, when we talked about a courtroom, I said we should feel like healing centers. As lawyers and judges, we're supposed to be here to help and to heal controversy. And so we wanted our courtroom to look more like an urgent care. I learned that from the healers. What I love about Chelsea, it was a community hospital. They saw it's difficult to be just a community hospital. They made an affiliation both with the University of Michigan and with Trinity Healthcare, both of the institutions my father had been part of. And I got over there, And Bob, I'm going to do it. I knew I was going to be okay because they said, there's something wrong. There's a CT scan. You got a big lump in your pancreatic, probably cancerous, and it's sticking into your bowel. This is serious. You are really got to get in for emergency surgery. The doctor was from Ireland. He grew up in Ireland. He practiced in Ireland. And his wife was Hindu, which I thought was really great. And he said, we're half Hindus. We celebrate both. I said, you're my man. I'm good with it. Bottom line is he told us that night, I went in for emergency surgery. This was on March 22nd. And he told us the next day that had I waited 12 hours, maybe, 30, maybe, it would have burst and I wouldn't have saved me. But for my wife insisting I go in, we'd be at my funeral today, folks. So, what I want to do is relate to you. So I'm in chemo. Just 2 days off of chemo. We were a little worried how I'd do. You've all been a tremendous source for me. I have told them, they said, we've never heard of anybody who's looking forward to chemo. I said, that's the only thing that's going to help me. I said, it's like get the Irish troops out of the hills, you know. This thing's going to try to cut me up. So it's not only the medical, I'm getting the best medical treatment, but all of you, your love, your support, everybody in this room that's been supporting me are either cancer survivors or spouses of cancer survivors. You've been a tremendous source of strength for Margaret and I, and we, strangely enough, I have some friends who have been there say it's almost a gift. I really view it as a gift because what happens is you start to realize what really matters and how we should live our life. And when you're living with the reality, I could be gone tomorrow, how are you going to live that day? I've prepared a few speeches here, not a few, one. I prepared a few pages where I want to crystallize this to you. And Justice, I'm going to give you this to take back to your colleagues, even though we got the great one right over here with you. Because I think about your giving us the opportunity, what I learned from Mike Petoskey, what we brought here, what you've heard people react to, we need this in our state court system, and you know that, and you've been a great backer. So I'm going to give you that. Here's my speech, which my wife, I get up in the middle of the night, and I write it, she gets up in the morning, and we type it together. This insidious, cowardly beast in my belly, the one they call cancer, sought to sneak into my body, cut me in half in the dark of night, and end my life. But my life will end when the Creator decides that it is time. My life will end in the light and not in the darkness of the demon. This challenge has crystallized for us what we have always known to be true. Each day is a gift from the Creator. We all are hurtling through space on this great protector spaceship we call Mother Earth. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are all here collectively to help and when needed to heal each other, not harm. We are here to seek and cherish truth and wisdom, not belittle it. We are here to stand tall and defend justice and democracy, not hide and cower from those who would threaten and destroy justice and democracy. We are here to laugh and to thrive, not frown and hate. We are all here, and I learned this from Mike Petoskey, we are all here as the product of the prayers of the 7 generations who came before us, and what we do now will affect the 7 generations that follow us. We are here to learn and evolve, not devolve. We are here to contemplate, not simply mutate. We are here to live the light that is inside each one of us. This is a gift at birth from the Creator, and we must not deny and extinguish that light. We are here to love each other, which is the light. From above, so below. Our mission, while we are on this life walk together, is fight the good fight. Out of the darkness, into the light, live the light. Shiokana, peace in Irish, Bob Riley. Be the light. Thank you.
I was allowed to come do this. I had to stay, you know how, I would love to be hugging all of you, believe me. But I have to stay sort of distant, so this was great for me. You have no idea what this gave to me. We do have the opportunity. This is my high school friend. We would play ball together, and we would walk-ons at Michigan, best friends, a deep friendship, lived together. And he went off to Arizona to become an artist of some renown. He painted this for me. It's an original. Drove across the country, dropped it off last night to us. And he, knowing about what our challenge was, knowing who we are, what Mark and I are, said, this is you. That's the warrior of the light. That's the warrior of the light. He didn't know I was going to bring it, so he's probably going to be a little embarrassed. But there's going to be the opportunity. This is being filmed. If you have things to say, and many of you, I've got high school friends here, I've got people I've known forever, say the darn stories, share the stories. This is not the formal aspect. I will see it. I love you all. Thank you.
I have never used the gavel. Don't make me do that.
This is Colleen Connors, Judge Connors' sister, who's flown in from California. And before we stand in recess, she wanted to say a few words and some instructions for us.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. This joyful celebration and recognition is neither an isolated or an encapsulated moment, but it's rather a continuation and a reflection of a lifetime dedicated to service and possibility and a connection to a purpose beyond oneself. Tim has always known that it's the work itself that matters. He's always known that he did not arrive at this moment alone. And I would like to say to Tim and Margaret, look at this army of supporters you have here before you. We have a proud showing of our 54 O'Connor and Connors cousins here with us today. We have high school friends who are brothers. We have had high school friends, Justice McGill, who helped to remind them, even before they knew it, that they needed the Irish prayer. They need a little reminder that sometimes going too far is a little bit going too far. So they're here, your justices are here, Tim and Margaret, your colleagues, your friends, your neighbors, and we want you to know that we just stand fiercely behind you, alongside you, and proudly and resolvingly so. Tim would truly rather have this day be about all of you. He would really rather say to you how all of you have connected with him and made him what you've taught him and learned from you. So thank you for the generosity of your spirit, all of you, and for being here to support him always. I will truly never know what I've done in my life to deserve winning the lottery ticket and having Tim as my brother. It's truly been one of the greatest gifts in my life. He is as a child, and a lot of you, my cousins and his dearest friends can tell you this, high school friends, he is as a child as he is now as a man. He loves to make people laugh. He's full of zany antics. He's kind, he's generous, he's protective, he's uplifting. He's full of infectious enthusiasm and optimism, and he has seemingly rechargeable energy. He's really excelled in everything he's tried in life, and because he has such curiosity of life, he's tried many, many things in his life. And those of you, a testament is his high school friend who shows you here. This is Timothy in Brigadoon at high school. So a dancer, a poet, he's everything. Our mom was a Yeats scholar, and one of her favorite poems was The Lake Isle of Innisfree, a copy which is framed in beautiful, beloved cottage, and we have Ryan sitting here today, and he knows this poem well. And now is the time for Tim to arise and go to his own island to heal and find the peace that comes dropping slow, hearing lake water lapping in the deep heart's core. As you feel the current that is Tim's life, know that this is one of his greatest teaching moments to us all. He's reminding us that in the beginning and the end and everything in between, it really all distills down to a sense of connection. That the light binding us all is everywhere, it's unmistakable, and it cannot be broken. And that the portal to self-discovery and acceptance is gratitude. And that the infinite language and this crazy dance we all have as human beings here on this planet Earth, the language is love. And what we'd love to do is have any of you come and share your stories about Timothy.
Colleen, before we start that,
Yeah.
Your Honor, I certainly understand and that there are other members of the judiciary here and that have their own dockets to attend to and other important matters. Yeah. May the court please stand in recess momentarily before the family continues. All rise.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you for your support of not only Tim, but our county court and our state and tribal courts as well. So thank you all, and if you wish to make a statement, we invite you to do so, and good evening.
Thank you, Your Honors. Thank you all for being here. Family members and friends, loved ones, colleagues that wish to make a video statement for Judge and Mrs. Connors to view later, they'll have the opportunity after the judiciary has recessed.
That was so good.
Judge, 24 years ago, I came as part of your trial advocacy class at Wayne State Law School to do a trial here. Just before that, in my duties as a AAA law clerk, you gave me the opportunity to see a real trial in your courtroom with one of my colleagues. Unfortunately, I did not get to practice in front of you as much as I would have liked, but you did make a mark on me 24 years ago in your trial advocacy class and your family law class. Best of luck in your retirement, and thank you for your service to both the County of Washtenaw and the State of Michigan and at Wayne State Law School.
Tim, they said it all, and you said it all. I'm fighting with you, cancer, so I feel for you. May the force be with you.
Recorded and carry on. I just want to say thank you to my older cousin Tim for the first beer he bought me. I can't go through a grocery store now and see a case of Ham's beer without thinking of Tim. So that, I just want to make sure went on record. Also that I love you, my cousin. Hang in there, and thanks for being such a great friend to us all, and being almost like an older brother, except I don't think you would have claimed our family. So love you, Tim.
I'm Patrick's older sister. My name is Maureen O'Connor Hayden. Grew up on a family farm. Dr. Gerald and Margaret O'Connor were our parents. Tim spent many summers and weekends there. And I just want to tell you, Tim, that I just told your students who gave you such great honors for your brilliance and your great legal mind. I just told him that you also know how to slop the pigs, clean out the chicken coop, and shovel out a manure-filled horse stall. So I just wanted them to have the full picture of Tim.
Judge Connors, since 2013 at this point. You're a big part of the reason why I was excited to go to law school, and I loved taking your class, and I really am keeping my fingers crossed for you. My entire family is praying for you, and I will forever have a great memory of you swearing me in. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Number one, Tim, I gotta tell you, I was a few minutes late because I was speeding from Oakland County. So, thank you very much for smiling at me when I walked in. Thank you very much for waving me in, and then the other judge had a seat for me. You know, Tim, we talk about being brothers from other mothers. What you don't know, but Tim and I do, is we're a day apart in being born. So we saw the Tigers become champions in '68 when we were 13. Saw Nixon leaving the office at 20. Hit first grade when we were 5, going on 6. Just been through life the same way. Saw when people landed on the Mars or on the moon when we were 14. So we've traveled together, and I'm going to look forward to traveling this road with you for a long time afterwards. And tell you what, the way that you were so honest with your sickness, how that disease got you, is going to make a lot of us get checked and get healthy. So you did us a great service, and I'm wishing you many, many years, and I'm looking forward to being part of your life as I'm going to be part of mine. Thank you. Bye.
Hey, Judge. Just want to say thank you for being supportive throughout my whole career. I want to say thank you for always making me smile. I know you're going to beat this because you're a warrior. You know what I mean? You really go hard out there. You're one of the smartest men I ever know. And you've been a good friend as well. So I told you I wasn't going to do this, but I have to do this. You deserve it. So thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you.
Your Honor, I've only known you for a few years, but you've been a great mentor and helped me out quite a bit. And I hope I helped you out just as much as you helped me out. And I appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir.
It's been truly a blessing to be able to serve you in an IT capacity, and also to get to know you on a personal level just in the short period of time that I've been able to work here. I've been able to see you be compassionate to others, be selfless in your actions, and really be a true role model for the community, but also to bring light, is that court is not just a solemn set, but it can be a joyous time as well.
Thank you for being a mentor, a friend, a learned judge, a teacher, and a leader of our community.